Grab yourself a beer and one for the pot, because today we're cooking a bold and boozy beef chili that means business. As always, we're going to begin this recipe with a little bit of prep. Once the prep's done, we'll get into the cooking, and it really is quite a simple recipe. To begin, take 2 small or 1 large brown onion. Cut it in half, peel it, and then finely dice it by making horizontal cuts towards the root, then vertical cuts all the way across, and then cutting across the cross section to make fine dice. Next, I've got 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to thinly slice them and then run the knife through them to finely chop it. Then take 2 bell peppers, and we want to cut these into strips. So this time I cut the top and the bottom off and remove the stalk. And then I place my knife in and roll it around the core and the seeds to remove the flesh. Then you can cut it into smaller, more manageable pieces and finely slice them. And now we'll move on to the meat. I've got a nice big piece of brisket that weighs roughly around 1 kilo. And if it's rolled and tied, you can remove the string and unroll it, and then cut it into smaller chunks. I'm cutting this one into 5 or 6 pieces, and then drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, not too much, but enough for the seasoning to stick, and season them generously with salt and black pepper on all sides. Place that to one side for the moment, and we'll move on to the cooking. Place a large saucepan, or I've got this cast iron pot here that I like to use for my chili, over a medium heat, and then drizzle in a little bit of olive oil. This is roughly around 30 millilitres. Place in your diced onions, followed by a pinch of salt. The salt helps to draw out the moisture and allow the onions to sweat down gently without burning. Sweat the onions down for 4 to 5 minutes until soft, and then place in the garlic and cook for a further 1 minute. Next we'll add the spices. So I've got 4 grams of cumin, and it's the cumin here that really gives it that nice chili flavour. And then add 4 grams of paprika, and then 2 grams of chili powder, but it's up to you how much you want to add. It depends how hot you want your chili to be. I don't want this to be too hot. And finally 2 grams of oregano. Give them a little stir and cook them out for about 30 seconds before placing in 750 grams of ground beef mince. At this stage you can turn the heat up to medium-high and cook the mince out until it turns brown. At this stage you could add some tomato paste, but I don't have any, so I'm leaving it out. And then pour in 500 millilitres of beer. Now I recommend going for a nice dark beer for this, but it's completely up to you which beer you want to use. Once the beer's in, add in 300 millilitres of beef stock, and then 2 400 gram tins of chopped tomatoes or tomato passata. Stir it together and bring it to a simmer, and season it with a good pinch of salt and black pepper. Once it's simmering, you can add in your sliced bell peppers and a 400 gram tin of drained kidney beans. Next we need to sear off the beef brisket, so I'll move my chili over and place a large frying pan over a high heat. Heat the pan until it's smoking hot, and then place in your beef brisket to brown on all sides. Once your beef brisket is completely seared, you can then transfer it into your chili and place a lid on. And then we're going to put it into a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius fan for 4 hours. Now that's 4 hours minimum. Longer is fine, but if you cook it for less, the beef brisket won't break down enough. After 4 hours, take your chili from the oven. And then place the brisket chunks onto a plate or tray. Then using a couple of tongs or forks, just pull that brisket down into nice strips. Once you've done that, place it back into the chili, mix it through the sauce, and your chili is ready to serve. You could serve it on a nice baked jacket potato with a little bit of creme fraiche and fresh chives, just like this, or simply serve it with a side of rice. So there we go, drunken beef chili, and it tastes so good. Now this is quite a long dish to put together. It takes a lot of time in the oven, and if you want to skip that step you can, but I would leave the brisket out and just do it with ground beef, and then simmer it on the stovetop for about an hour instead of placing it in the oven. And then you've got a chili that's tasty and good to go. But the brisket is definitely a nice extra touch. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.